Vetiver is a collection of 10 solo instrumental pieces of music. Obviously there are many like it, but this one is mine. It was performed mostly on this guitar. I think 8 out of the tracks were performed on this guitar. One was played on a beautiful Martin, Davy Graham signature Martin, and the final track, a bit of a wild card, was written for a solo ukulele, and that was played on a stunning uke made by Jake McClay of Hive Ukuleles. And I think it's fair to say that if it wasn't for Jake, that piece of music wouldn't exist. Vetiver was recorded and produced by Mark Pavey of Les Cousins Music, and we'd worked together on Beverly Martin's latest record, The Phoenix and the Turtle. I'd been playing electric guitar for that. But I'd loved the way that Mark worked. You know, we've both got backgrounds in audio engineering and recording, and specialising in acoustic albums. He had produced Davy Graham's final records, and he's got a real sense of what I'm looking for in the final sound. And it was just so refreshing to be able to say, I don't care what you're using, you know, just let me play, you know, to not have to wear the producer's hat, to not worry about, you know, which compressors are we going to use, which pre's are we going to use, what mics are we going to use. I was given really a luxurious opportunity to sit down and play, and I'm very grateful for that. Vetiver was recorded using a matched pair of Gefell M300s and Corby, I think it was, U87 style mic. The most important thing about that was it had a beautiful little blue LED in it, and that was just nice to look at while I played. The album starts with Celandine, which is a short piece, but it's very nuanced, and there's a surprising amount going on. The fascinating thing about pre-Columbian civilizations was that they hadn't invented any stringed instruments. The guitar, guitarron, all this sort of stuff was brought over by the Spanish. So before that, all they had was wind instruments inspired by, you know, the wind through the Andes, and drums, and that's essentially what inspired La Tolita. The whole album can be summed up by the title track, Vetiver. I am fascinated by memory and the immediacy of scent and memory together. Vetiver is one of my favourite scents. It's a grass that comes from India, and it's used a lot in the perfume industry. And just this idea that catching a scent can transport you back in time to an exact moment, I find absolutely fascinating and very, very powerful when it does happen. Part of the acoustic guitar experience, of course, is arranging as well as composition. And I've always been kind of on the lookout for something that I'd like to arrange. It's a completely different discipline to composition. You know, you've got to retain the soul of what you are playing, just putting it in a different context. And I guess it's the bits that matter to you that you get to keep. I chose The Messiah Will Come Again by the late, great Roy Buchanan, which I think is one of the most astonishing pieces of electric guitar playing. It's a heartbreaking piece of music, just an exquisite melody. And when you hear the record, you're literally listening to a guy pouring his soul out through a Telecaster. And it may not be polished, it may not be necessarily easy listening at all times, you know, especially when he's just grinding on the thing up on the pickup. But my God, it's the real thing. I mean, that is authentic, and that's what we're all looking for. Vetiver was written over the course of about 10 years in 4 or 5 different countries. I suppose in some ways it charts my progression as a writer and as a performer. It's certainly a snapshot of who I was when I recorded it. It's very tempting to seek perfection, isn't it, in a project? It's very tempting to say it's not good enough yet, I need to get it in front of more people, maybe if I had the right gear, maybe if I had the right guitar, maybe if I'd done my nails differently. You know, I've learnt that done is so much better than perfect, and I'm proud of Vetiver. You know, it's a good record. It stands up to the standards that I set myself. I mean, there's nothing on there that hasn't been said by the Beatles within my life. You know, there are places I remember all my life, though some have changed. You know, that's pretty much Vetiver. It's just my own way of saying it.